Hi, everyone, and welcome to the End of Life Journey and Beyond, the Sands of Time. My name is Lisa Strahs-Lorenc, and I am a bereavement specialist. It's nice to see you and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. It's always nice to see you, Lisa. Thank you. My name is Susan Capurso, and I am an end-of-life doula, but a legacy advisor. And most of my work is lately comprised of legacy work. So I can give you more information on that. Reach out anytime. That's leaving your stories and memories in history for future generations, just in case you were wondering. So I want to say hello and welcome to our channel. Whether you've lost somebody that you love this year, or it's been many years now. Like for both Lisa and I, New Year's can hit us differently when you're grieving. And actually, every holiday it can hit you differently. But we just had Happy New Year recently, so we wanted to tap into this subject a little bit. So your mind automatically goes straight to the person that you're missing. You can agree, Lisa. And we both want you to know today that it's totally okay. It's okay to feel those emotions that are coming at you, and it's normal. Um, it's normal. All of these feelings are normal, and you're supposed to feel this way. So don't doubt that. And if you're new to grief, you might feel like everything's just too much for you right now. And as these new and special days, whether they're holidays or not, as they come up, it's so common to feel these waves of anxiety that come through, maybe go away in an hour, maybe don't go away for another week or so. They're there. We have to find a ways to adjust in life. We both know that. But here's the thing, okay? So even if you're dealing with a loss for a while now, these feelings can still pop up no matter how long it's been. And it might change over time, like we talk about all the time on our videos, but it's still there. It's still uncomfortable, but it's not unusual. It's not unusual. So, Lisa and I have found that for a lot of people, just knowing this helps helps this become a normal part of the process. And it actually can be a huge relief. And it almost helps you feel as though you're not going crazy, especially as life is passing you by. We've heard the phrase misery loves company. No, it's a wrong phrase that we use. But it's good to know that people that are suffering from grief do feel these same kinds of things. So again, we want to thank you for joining us today and listening into this video. Please be sure to like and share our pages, especially with somebody you may know in your life going through a loss, because you have to remember that we're really all in this together. We're human beings, and it's okay not to be okay sometimes, right?
Well said, Susan. Well said. There's a lot of articles about the new year and the pressures of the new year. Happy, New Year's resolutions. What are we going to do now? What's going to be new? And meantime, there are so many people who are grieving and who are trying to figure out how am I going to face this new year? What am I going to do? How is this going? How am I going to cope with this? And so we've done a little research. There was a woman named Heather Stang who does some really good research on different topics like holidays and all. And she did something about grief in the new year. And she has some really nice mindful tips to cope in 2025. And as you said, whether it's something very new or whether it's been a long time, it still might hit you and trigger the feelings of sadness, and then you feel like, why am I feeling sad? Everybody else is happy. And it puts more pressure on you to, to not feel and feel like you deserve to grieve. And you do deserve to grieve. And you deserve to feel all those feelings without feeling guilty, without feeling like, oh my, I should do this. I should feel this. It's not that at all. So you can feel ambivalent. Hey, it's the new year, it's new times, but wait a minute. I have these other feelings that I have, and now what do I do? So the first thing is treating yourself with compassion. You gotta understand and feel, hey, this is okay. other people going through other things, and other people don't have what I'm going through, and it's okay. And that's what you were referring to before, that it is okay to feel like that.
With me
So,
personally, Lisa, it was a matter of I didn't think of the word compassion, but I always kept thinking of the word gentle, to
yes,
be gentle with myself, which is basically the same thing.
yes,
But
yes,
it made me feel peaceful and more calm to do things in a gentle way
yes,
in my
yes,
life. If you
yes.
get that.
So instead of the idea of self-improvement, I want to lose weight, I want to walk more, I wanted to thinking about how to just self-care and be good to yourself, which is what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So all those New Year's resolutions, we're talking about just accepting where we are in our lives, how we feel, what's going on, and that is compassion for ourselves, and that is, taking good care of ourselves and what we feel, and that it's okay. It's okay to
I,
feel
I
that way.
mentioned
So,
I mentioned in several videos, Lisa, how I would go to the nail salon because they had those chairs that you sit over and they massage your back for
yes,
10 minutes or however long you want. And I used to go a lot
mm,
because I don't know what it was. There was something, and some people don't like to be touched,
I know,
but
I know.
I wanted that. I wanted that touching. I
Yes.
wanted you to just rub my head and my neck and make me feel good. I felt like a little girl again, but it was a gentle kindness that I could give to myself that made me feel good.
Yeah, that's really, really nice. So the rest of it is, of course, sleep and eating nourishing food and exercising maybe a little bit, just helping your body and your mind during loss. And not focusing, not pressuring yourself. Oh, I have to do this. I have to have a certain amount of steps or whatever. No, none of that. It's really just paying attention to yourself and being good to yourself, being kind to yourself. That's so, so very important. The other thing about New Year's is everybody saying Happy New Year. And we started that way. Okay. But Happy New Year is a really hard concept for people who are not feeling happy. They're looking at their lives and they're saying, how am I going to cope? What am I going to do? What's going to happen to my life and all? So this person actually suggests that instead of saying Happy New Year, you offer yourself kindness and words like, may I treat myself with kindness this year? Or may I have compassion this year? Or this is hard and I'm doing the very best I can. Giving yourself a break, feeling like you at least can give yourself a little room to be who you are and to feel what you feel, and that is okay. So the pressure of happy, happy, just like the Merry Christmas and Happy Hanukkah thing, it's the same idea, except that everybody's now wishing you Happy New Year and looking at the new year as a new beginning. Well, for you, may not be, that yet. Okay. It might come to that eventually, we hope. But at this point, you're just coping with just getting through and trying to figure out how to live. And that's a lot. That's a lot for anybody to cope with.
And it's important not to give yourself a timeline. It's important not to give because many people out there have type A personalities and they like to
Yes.
be more in control than other people. But just because it's a new year, don't say to yourself, all right, I'm giving myself until July. I'm giving myself until December, and then I have to start moving
Right.
on with my life.
Yeah,
Don't
no,
give
doesn't work
yourself,
that way.
right? It
Yeah.
won't work.
Yeah.
Give yourself as long as you may need, and that might even be 10 years, right? Who knows?
So, talking about the calendar, it's interesting. They suggest that you plan some special grief days where it's just a day where you might look at albums or might look at videos or something. And so that's your ability to take that day and say, it's okay to grieve this day and to really fill that day with all the memories and all. And sometimes when you plan those, that at least gives you the opportunity to feel that so that all the other days where you might be feeling other things, you're able to cope better because you've put in place in your little calendar that this is a grief day. And that's an interesting
Okay,
concept.
it's an interesting concept, but one that Lisa and I sometimes are on opposite sides of the fence. Now, Lisa really loves and appreciates that time and those days, and that's important. Now, for me, for a very, very long time, I couldn't go near a photo album. And you know this, Lisa, I couldn't even put a video on. And that to me is sad. I like your concept better. I'm not thinking I'm right at all because I'm not.
Yeah.
Okay. But it again, it's just so overwhelming and powerful for me that I don't want to see that. It's too hurtful, and the memories in my mind are bad and are hurtful and unloving enough that I don't need to see the physical things. Now, I've since changed. It's been many years. You know that I can do that now, but I couldn't for a long, long time.
So I just want to say that we have said before, and we should say it again, that the journey is individual for every single person. It's like me
Yeah.
doing the online memorial. That for me was very therapeutic. It gave me something to do. It gave me something to give out to people. People could write, people could do virtual things, guest books and stuff. Now, for others, that might do nothing for them, or it might be more hurtful for them. So there's no one way, and everybody should understand and everybody should accept that they have to see who they are. They may try a few things to just see if it helps, but not to feel the pressure of, well, she did this, or I can't do this, or does this work
No,
for me? That pressure is unnecessary. We all have our own journeys. We have talked about this before. It's very important as you go into the new year that you not pressure yourself that I have to do this or this is on this is on my schedule or something. You figure out what you can cope
what
with.
is right for you? What is right for you?
Correct.
So one of the things, and I have spoke about this before too, was that most of my friends at the time were married. They all had partners. So I was hoping on and praying for a single friend in my life, right? So God blessed me with that. And a single woman came into my life, just a couple years older than me. We became very good friends, but she was much more active in her life. You know, she loved taking long hikes, whether it's on the beach or up a mountain or whatever. And I wasn't into the whole hiking thing at that point. I would like to walk the neighborhood. That was the extent of my walking. But she made it a ritual for us almost every Saturday. We made a plan to get up and do it. And it was something new, which is something, as all of us are grieving, we need to incorporate some new things into
Yes.
our lives.
Yes.
And just that little act really opened my world. It opened my world to see, wow, I can do new things and I can spend time with other people. And that was nice. And that was a big thing that helped me out of a lot of the pain that I went through. So, yeah, exactly, Lisa. It will be different for everybody. That was good for me. Maybe it won't be for you, but to try and find that
Yes.
little thing that will help you along your journey.
Yes. Yes. And we have talked about small steps, that there are things
Mhm.
that you could do, as you said, maybe getting out once in a while or trying a new friend or something, um, that pushes you just a little bit because you want to move a little bit in a
Yeah.
direction, and especially in a positive living direction. And things are going to be uncomfortable because they're new, they're different, they're not the way they used to be. And change, as we've said, is difficult for many, many people.
And
So
it's
adapt.
easy to be alone. It's easy to be alone. So maybe your comfort might not be to call a friend or be with somebody, but maybe a new goal for 2025 could be that you have breakfast with somebody, even if it's once a month.
Yeah.
Choose a different friend in your mind and make the phone call and invite them out to the diner or and you'll see as the year goes on, you'll almost look forward to that, whether it's the same friend or different friends.
Yes.
You know, the conversation is nice to look forward
Yes.
to. Step outside of your box. We always say that.
And that's a really good example. And the other example, of course, is how I feel about support groups. And these groups at least make you feel that you are not alone. People understand, they give ideas, There are ways that they cope, and maybe you say, hey, maybe I'll try that. That might be a good idea for me. But to be around people who absolutely get it, your friends are wonderful and they love you and all, but they've not walked your steps, your shoes. They've not been in your shoes. And so they say great things. I love you. I care about you. And what can I do to help you? Well, you
And then
don't
they
always
go home.
know.
And then they go home. So
That's
you
right.
are alone a lot of that time. Nobody's sitting that with, unless you live with a sister or something that's with you
Yes.
every day, but that's
Yes.
rare.
Yes.
You know?
And everybody has spoken about loneliness. You walk into the house and there's nobody else there anymore. And so, people put on TV or people put on music to have, something in the house. But
Yeah.
to try and stay, find some things that might fill your life more, something maybe try something different, maybe a different kind of group, maybe a social group. So after a year, I joined a group that was just an activity group. It wasn't to meet anybody. It was just to be around single people, and all of them were single for whatever reason. They weren't all widows, but they were doing fun things. And I met some great people. I met a really dear friend on a whitewater rafting trip, and that was big for me to go on a whitewater rafting trip. But and a Halloween party and comedy clubs and things like that. So maybe just trying it. At first, it was very uncomfortable. I felt like I didn't belong there and all that. But as I pushed myself a little bit, I found that this was exciting and it was something to look forward to. Again,
But
I
it's
would go
important
when I
to
felt,
prioritize these things. And, call it your grief calendar. Call it your
yes,
grief work calendar. Make it
yes,
a separate calendar.
yes,
But if you don't prioritize something or some things, you won't do it.
that's right.
It'll be easier to just stay in and read a book or
That's
watch
right.
a Lifetime movie. And that's easy for me to do. I admit it. So it's
Yes,
important to prioritize, think of a few ideas of things that might interest you. Maybe, and again, it's just an example. Maybe you've always liked to paint, but you haven't done it in years for one reason or another. So now that a new year is here, you can say that. You could say, "Hey, next week or next month, I'm gonna do some research and find a place that's not too far from my house that offers some painting classes." And use that as a day of research. You don't have to do everything at one time. And then go. Sign up for something and do it. So
right.
it's just a matter of prioritizing on your own grief calendar.
Yes, yes. The other thing is that people feel that as they face the new year, they're leaving their loved ones behind. They're not. They're
Hmm.
coming with us. They're coming with us in every breath we take, everything that we do. And so that's why I love people to do things that honor their memories, whether it's food, whether it's holidays, whether it's birthdays, whether it's anything, a song, a song. There's so many things. So you're not leaving your loved one behind. You're moving along with your life as they would want you to, truly. And that's not an easy thing to say or an easy thing to do. But we know that we're the ones alive and they're not. And honestly, I mean, my feeling is that we owe it to the people who loved us to continue to live our lives as best we can and create our new life as best we can.
Yeah, I think when you say things like that, and when I hear things like that, I think of things being opposite and me being the one gone. And I do believe in heaven and in God and our souls. And I think, I would want the best for my family. I wouldn't want anybody sitting around crying and wallowing for 10 years, just keep going. Our lives are so short.
That's right.
Um, and I also think about being present. So this is another subject that I've talked about before, meditation and visualization, or just sitting in a chair and being quiet and putting some meditation music on. Most TVs are smart TVs now, and you can click right on the YouTube app or do it on your phone. Okay, you can find meditations in there or just soothing music. The other day I looked for you know, the flute music. Um, what do they call? I went to a Turkish restaurant once and heard some of the flute music. You know, the wooden flutes.
No?
So that yeah, I'll play it for you sometime.
Okay.
It's really beautiful,
Okay.
almost spiritual in a sense. But you know, you just have that on in your background. Have it on when you drive in your car. It's very soothing and peaceful. But when you, even if you sit in a chair in quiet, you're being present, you know, and don't have that monkey mind. Don't let your mind go crazy. Be there for yourself in the moment. And sometimes quiet is more. You may have had a very loud life last year or the year before, and it suddenly got a little quiet because this is the way it's supposed to be right now. And embrace that quietness a little bit. That's what I believe. Those are the things that have helped me along the way. And different things have helped Lisa along the way. And that's why we're a good match, her and I think.
Yes, yes. And you see that it's not the same because everybody's really different. So my
Yeah,
cousin who just lost his wife a couple months ago said to me, I really don't feel like continuing my own life. I wish I were with her. And I said, sure, people feel that way. But then he said, but you know what? I have my grandchildren and I have my sons, and I know that they want me to be in their lives still. So I need to figure out a way to continue to live and enjoy them. And that's so profound because, yeah, your life is over with that person. That was you dated them and they were in college and, all those things and all those memories. And it's so hard to see now a new chapter, a new life, but that's what he will create as best he can so that he still offers himself a life of some type. He says all his friends have been calling him, everybody's been so attentive and all. He has wanted to stay alone many times. He's wanted to be in a certain place that they used to go to and memories and whatever. And so that's how he's coping now. And the other one is even older, and he's been doing his carving, which he loves to do, and filling his days with some family stuff. So again, we all figure out how it's going to work. Um, and we all have different journeys and how that's going to be. But the new year and the new pressures are what we're talking about here, because so many people feel, oh, I have to be happy now, or I have to, make resolutions. Or we're trying to tell you not to have all that pressure on yourself, but to try and do a few things that might be some good beginnings for yourself, and a few new things that might be helpful at your pace, and to take care of yourself and to have, compassion for yourself, self-care and all. So that's what we're saying for
very
the new year.
nicely, very nicely said, Lisa. And you know, not everybody loves books and loves to read, but I clung on to my audiobooks
Mm,
several years, so many decades ago now. I think when they first came out is when I started audiobooks. And I gotta tell you, there are many out there for every subject under the sun.
right.
Every subject that has to do with grief, losing a child, losing your mom, and you don't want to go on another day. You know, you just have to look for it. I belong to Audible.
Mhm.
Um, but look on Amazon, they deal with Kindle and Audible now. But I gotta tell you, books have been my therapy. And there are some books, I just listened to a book that made me feel so good. I didn't want it to end. It was a
Wow.
10-hour book, and I only listened to it when I was driving in my car. But by the time I got to wherever I was at, I wanted to just sit in my car with the heat on, nice and cozy, and
Nice.
keep to my book because they really do help and they have the power to change your mindset and change your mood and have you walking out of your car with a smile that you didn't have on when you got in the car.
Yes. Yes.
So
Yes.
I just want to throw that out there again.
Yeah, and let's throw out again about the idea of journaling, because that's very therapeutic for people, even if they write letters to their loved one or write down how they're feeling. Or, listen, we all, when we were little, we had diaries. I mean, I had diaries since I was 7 years old. and I would write down what I did during the day. And I love doing that. And I did that all through high school. That was like my thing. So there's a book that I think it's called 365 Days of Grief. And every day there's like a little caption and then an area that you could write for the day. And you know what? Some people find that really very helpful and very positive because they're nurturing themselves.
First book I wrote, Lisa, I've written three. The first one I wrote, Remember Me the Story of My Life. It's one of those books with the prompts on top and then the lines on the page. It takes you back to a moment in time and you can sit there and write and journal. So at the very beginning, when I published the book, I held workshops, okay, and all kinds of in restaurants and churches. I was all over with these workshops. And I'll never forget, it was at a church and there were maybe 20, 25 people came to the workshop and we're talking about legacy and we're talking about leaving these stories. And this one woman is just so excited to be part of this workshop. And before the night was over, I come to find out she has in her closet about six big boxes filled with journals. Now, the woman had to be in about 80, I
Okay.
guess she was, since she was a little girl, of
Wow.
all the journals and the diaries that she had written. And they're all in those boxes stacked in the back of her closet. And I thought to myself, what? You don't need me. Why are you here? She has all that wonderful stuff. She knows how to do that. But nope, she was grateful to be around people to answer different questions that she might not have thought of in her journaling, and it was exciting for her to do. But I thought it was funny that, journaling is a big thing and
Yes.
people take it seriously in life. It
Yes.
helps.
Yes, they do. The other thing is a hobby. We've mentioned it before, but maybe there's a new hobby that you want to take up and something that you've thought about but never had the time, never really considered it. And maybe now's the time. Whether it's sewing or looming or crocheting or painting or anything, maybe. Oh, I wish I had done that. I didn't have time to do that. Now you can make some time and try something like that. It might be very therapeutic and really nice for you.
Being gentle, having an open mind and an open heart, and being flexible with yourself is so important. And another thing we weren't going to get into, I don't think today, but this is really important. Helping somebody else,
Yeah.
okay, with what they're going through. And I know this firsthand because of all my losses happen within a 2 year period. And about a year after that 2 year period was when I started to volunteer for hospice. And it's just a couple hours a week, 2 or 3 hours a week. And it was so fulfilling for me to help somebody else, even if it was just for the caregiver to be able to go grocery shopping. And I sat and watched TV. And I'm still doing this now, 10 years later. And right now, my patient is 104.
Wow.
And she hums and sings, and she's the happiest
Wow.
person that I
Wow.
probably. And it's so fulfilling for me to be with her every Saturday, just to sit with her and we talk about shows and the conversation's not as robust as it used to. She'd rather hum like you would think she was in the church choir her whole life. She loves music and but it's something powerful. I was cranky this week with the holidays. Yes, I was. I didn't want to force myself to get in the car and go there, but I'm committed. I made that obligation. I could have called up and said I didn't feel well and just didn't want to, but I forced myself to go. And I get there and I'm so glad that I did.
Yep,
So helping somebody else, takes you outside of your own head,
it does.
takes you outside of your own mind. And that's important to know. and remember, because we don't always know that when we lose somebody. We're not thinking of that, right?
That's true. True. And by the way, tomorrow is Irma's 98th birthday.
Wow.
My dear friend. Yeah. So she doesn't know it. She doesn't remember it or anything. I have reminded her about it. And I'm sure the family will do something. And of course, I've sent flowers and all. But it's passages of time and it's spending time with people who are important and who are special.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So
And that's all
that's
we
the
can do.
story for a happy new year.
Happy 2025. And
That's right.
actually, it could be any year. We could replay this. So take that
That's
2025 out,
right. That's
right?
right.
It could be
Yes.
next year too. But it's just the point. It's moving on one baby step at a time, talking. I heard something in the audiobook I was listening to yesterday. And it says, be careful about the people that are in your circles and around your life. They may not be the most positive people. They might not be the people that can propel you to your next step or the next level. They could be the person that keeps you down and even moving backwards in life. So to be careful who you're surrounding yourself with as well. And I thought that was really important. It made me rethink some of the friendships that I've held on to myself and the friendships that have ended. And I think I understand why now. You know, life changes, seasons change. And if
Yes.
we can roll with it and let go of some of the things that happened in the past, the flow will be much more joyful and loving and peaceful. And that's something we all need. Um,
It's true. It's true.
we all need. It's
We
not
do.
just Lisa and I, and it's not just you listening to this channel. We're human beings. We're lucky if we live anywhere near to 100 years old, right? We're on this such a short timeline that we need to just have to try and cope and do our best and put one foot in front of the other, become better people, help others, right? And work our way back home.
Yes. Yes. And we all share the same feelings. They come out in different ways, but inside, we all need to be loved. We all need to
Right.
love. There's so many things that we still all feel the same, even though our circumstances might be different. So we need to remember
Yeah,
that. Yeah.
it's a beautiful thing, Lisa. Well, I hope you enjoy. Your background is not the same. So we know Lisa's in her vacation home on
I
the other
am.
side of the country in the warm weather. That's okay. I
The
accept that.
same
But I'm
side of the country, just south. That's all.
just south, just
Just
south,
south. Yes.
just south.
Yes.
So that's a pretty spot. You'll use that as your background for a little while. I know you're on a different computer down there.
I am.
And
I am.
and I look forward to talking to you next week. And I hope that somebody got something out of the things we talked about today. And I hope it helps you and gives you a little motivation and a little incentive to try something new. Try something new. Think outside of the box, and maybe this year will just be a little bit better for you.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
All
Yes.
we can do. Thank you, Lisa. Have a
Thank you,
wonderful week,
Susan. You too.
and I'll talk to
Take
you
care.
next week.
Okay.
Okay.
Bye bye.